The passengers were boarding Flight 218 to Washington when the crew noticed her, a quiet girl in an oversized hoodie, clutching a small metal tag around her neck. She couldn't have been more than 13. Alone. No parents, no smile. Just silence. No one paid attention. She was just another kid in seat 12F. But what no one knew was that every uniformed pilot on that plane was about to remember her face forever. The flight attendant, Emma, crouched beside her. "Sweetheart, are you okay? Traveling alone?" The girl nodded. "Yes, ma'am." Her voice was calm. Too calm for her age. Emma smiled gently. "Where to, honey?" "Arlington," she whispered. Emma paused. Arlington wasn't just a city. It was where heroes were buried. She wanted to ask more, but the girl had already turned to the window, tracing raindrops with her finger. There was a name etched faintly on the metal tag she held. Emma tried not to stare, but the letters caught the cabin light. Major Robert Cole. The engines roared to life, and the plane climbed through the clouds. The girl sat perfectly still. No music. No tablet. Just the rhythm of the sky and her quiet breath. Halfway through the flight, a group of Air Force pilots entered the cabin, heading home from an air show. Their uniforms gleamed. Their voices carried the confidence of men who'd seen war and come back standing tall. "Hey kid," one of them said kindly as he walked past. "You like jets?" She looked up, eyes deep and distant. "I used to watch them fly every Sunday," she replied softly. "Before Dad stopped coming home." The pilot froze. He opened his mouth to respond, but something in her tone made him step back. He leaned closer. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She hesitated. "Evelyn," she said. Then quietly added, "Evelyn Cole." The pilot's smile vanished. His hand dropped to his side. For a moment, he looked like he'd seen a ghost. He turned slowly to his squadron. "Guys," he whispered. "Seat 12F." Emma watched from a distance as their faces changed, pride melting into disbelief, disbelief into something deeper, reverence. The captain's voice came over the speaker. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We'll be making a short acknowledgement before landing." Emma frowned. Acknowledgement. The lead pilot stood from his seat, walked toward 12F and kneeled. Every passenger turned. The cabin fell silent. He looked at Evelyn, then saluted. Her eyes widened. "Sir." He spoke softly. "Major Robert Cole was the bravest pilot I ever flew beside. We never got to thank him. Or his family." Evelyn's lips trembled. The dog tag in her hand shook. And then, the flight captain himself came out of the cockpit. He placed his hat over his heart. Every F-22 pilot on board rose, and stood at attention. Evelyn looked around, confused, scared, and proud all at once. Tears rolled down Emma's cheeks as she whispered, "Who is this girl?" But what happened next? No one expected. The captain receives a mysterious transmission mid-flight with a code phrase linked to Evelyn's father, one that hasn't been used in years. The flight had gone silent after the salute. You could feel the air itself holding its breath. Evelyn sat frozen in her seat, her small fingers gripping that single piece of metal, the dog tag that carried her father's name. The crew didn't understand what had just happened, but every pilot on that plane did. They weren't saluting a child. They were saluting a call sign. The captain returned to the cockpit, his voice quiet but strained. "Control, this is Flight 218 requesting status update." There was static, then a voice replied, faint, shaky. "Copy that, 218. Transmission coming through. It's old frequency, sir. We haven't used this channel since 2016. The captain frowned. 2016? That was the year Major Robert Cole's jet went down in enemy territory, the mission that was never fully declassified. Emma watched through the cockpit door, unease spreading in her chest. The captain leaned closer to the radio. "Control, confirm transmission origin." The voice replied, It's encrypted, but it carries one phrase. The line crackled. Then, through the noise, two chilling words came through. Eagles return. The captain's face drained of color. He turned slowly toward the lead F-22 pilot, who was seated just behind the cockpit. Does that mean anything to you? The man's jaw tightened. It was his code, he said quietly. Major Cole's mission name. Eagle's return was the last radio call before we lost him. Back in seat 12F, Evelyn stared out the window, unaware of the whispers happening up front. But she felt something, a strange hum in her chest, like the sky itself was speaking through the clouds. Emma knelt beside her again. You okay, honey? Evelyn nodded. I'm used to the quiet. Emma gave a soft smile. You remind me of someone strong. The girl looked down at her tag. That's what Mom used to say, before she got sick. Her voice cracked slightly. She said Dad wasn't gone, just flying higher now. Emma placed a hand on her shoulder. Sometimes comfort doesn't come through words, just silence that feels safe. In the cockpit, the pilots gathered, confusion written across their faces. Sir, that code hasn't been used in almost 10 years, one said. Then why did it come through now? Another asked. The captain stared at the radar, blank sky ahead, clear as glass. But in the corner of the screen, a faint blip appeared. A single jet. No call sign. No transponder. Just there. Unidentified aircraft at 22,000 feet, the co-pilot whispered. But sir, that's impossible. The captain's eyes widened. Patch me through. Static filled the cabin speakers, followed by a deep, distant voice. This is Ghost One, requesting permission to fly formation. The captain froze. Ghost One was the classified alias of Major Robert Cole, the man who'd been declared missing in action. The pilots stared at each other, disbelief, awe, and fear colliding all at once. This can't be real, one muttered. He's gone. The captain whispered. Tell that to the radar. Emma felt the shift before she heard it, the engines adjusting slightly, the sound of air turbulence outside. She glanced at the window. And then she saw it. A shadow moving beside them, sleek and silver, the unmistakable outline of a fighter jet gliding in perfect sync with the commercial plane. Evelyn gasped. That's... Her voice broke. The dog tag slipped from her hand, swinging gently. It gleamed in the sunlight, catching her father's engraved name. She pressed her hand to the glass, eyes wide. Dad, she whispered. Emma's heart stopped. And at that exact moment, the captain's headset came alive with the words, Eagles return, mission complete. The mysterious jet vanishes just as quickly as it appeared. But when they land, Evelyn is handed a sealed military letter, one that's been waiting exactly 10 years to be delivered to her, on this date. The plane touched down in Arlington, wheels rolling against the runway like the heartbeat of a story no one expected. Evelyn stayed in seat 12F, frozen, her small hands still trembling from the fleeting shadow of a jet she never thought she'd see again. The passengers disembarked slowly. No one knew what had happened in the cabin, the salute, the pilots, the transmission, but everyone could feel the quiet weight of history in the air. A uniformed officer approached Evelyn at the gate. His expression was serious, almost reverent. Evelyn Cole, he asked gently. She nodded, clutching her hoodie. Yes, sir. The officer handed her a small, sealed envelope. It was heavy, almost ceremonial. On the front, a single embossed emblem gleamed in gold, the Air Force insignia. Evelyn looked up at him, eyes wide. For me. Yes. It's been waiting, he said softly. For 10 years. Today, it finally reaches you. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal. Inside was a letter, handwritten in bold, familiar script. Evelyn, if you are reading this, it means you've grown strong and brave, even in my absence. I wanted you to know that every flight, every mission, I carried you in my heart. You are more than my daughter. You are the legacy I never got to leave in the skies. Always fly higher. Dad, call sign, ghost 1 inch. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. Tears blurred her vision. Her father's words, the words she had imagined for years, were finally real. Emma, who had followed quietly, whispered, "Oh, honey." Evelyn couldn't speak. She just pressed the letter to her chest, feeling the warmth of a presence she had never truly lost. Meanwhile, the F-22 pilots who had escorted the flight were watching from a distance. They were silent, respectful. Some of them had seen her father in combat. Some had flown alongside him. They all understood, Evelyn wasn't just a child. She was his blood, his heart, his spirit carried forward. One of the pilots, Michael, approached her gently. "Evelyn, would you like to meet the squadron? Your father. He would have wanted you to see this." Evelyn nodded slowly, a mixture of fear and awe coursing through her veins. She followed Michael to a hangar, where the jets gleamed under the afternoon sun. Her fingers traced the sleek surfaces, as if touching her father's memory. She stopped before one in particular. Its call sign was painted boldly, Ghost 1. She swallowed hard. Her father's call sign, his identity in the skies, staring back at her. Michael leaned down, voice soft but firm. "Your dad trusted us with everything. And now, he trusts you too." Evelyn's eyes welled up. She looked around, seeing the pride, respect, and honor reflected in every uniformed face. Then a question escaped her lips, barely audible. "Would he be proud of me?" Michael smiled. "He already is. And so are we." Audience reflection moment/call to action. Evelyn held the letter close, gazing at the horizon. What would you do if you found a piece of someone you loved, waiting for you all these years? She looked at Emma, then at the pilots. Have you ever seen someone judged or underestimated, only to discover their true worth? If you've ever felt looked down on, don't forget to like this story. The hangar doors opened, and a gust of wind carried the scent of fuel and sky. Evelyn felt something stirring inside her, a quiet strength she had never known. She realized that even in absence, her father's love and honor had guided her. But just as she felt the warmth of belonging, a shadow fell across the hangar floor. A figure stepped out of the sunlight. Tall, broad, unknown, but carrying a presence that made every pilot pause. And then Evelyn heard the voice, low, familiar, yet impossibly alive. "Evelyn, it's time you knew the rest of the truth." The figure wasn't just anyone. It held a secret about her father's last mission, one that no one knew. Evelyn's hidden identity wasn't only about legacy. It was about a mission she herself was connected to. Evelyn's heart pounded as the shadowy figure stepped fully into the hangar light. He was tall, with a presence that made even the most seasoned pilots stiffen in respect. And then she heard it, the unmistakable cadence of her father's voice, recorded, preserved, echoing through a device in his hand. I don't understand," Evelyn whispered. You're him." The man shook his head slowly. "No. I'm someone who served with your father. But what I'm about to tell you, it's something only his family can know." Her hands trembled, clutching the dog tag she had never let go of. The pilots formed a silent circle around her. Even Emma stepped back, sensing that this moment was bigger than anyone could grasp. The man continued. Major Robert Cole's last mission wasn't just a combat sortie. It was a rescue operation. A secret mission deep in hostile territory. Only a handful knew about it. And it wasn't completed the way anyone expected. Evelyn's chest tightened. He didn't make it back," she whispered, almost to herself. The man nodded. "Not entirely. Your father saved lives that day, more than anyone knew. But one life he couldn't reach. And that life is connected to you." Evelyn froze. She didn't understand. "Me? How could I?" The figure leaned closer, voice low but urgent. "Your father's last mission was meant to secure something, A technology, a secret, that could have changed the course of future operations. But it required someone with his bloodline to complete it. Evelyn. That someone is you. The hangar seemed to go silent. The hum of jets faded. Only her shallow breathing filled the space. She shook her head. No. I'm just a kid. Michael stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You're stronger than you realize. Your father left everything he could to prepare you for this moment. It's why he made sure this letter found you. Why he left the call sign, why he trusted us to guide you here. Evelyn swallowed, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't know if I can. The man pulled out a small, encrypted device, the kind pilots recognize immediately. This is the final piece of your father's mission. He kept it hidden. And now, it's yours. Only someone with your connection can activate it safely. Her fingers hovered above the device. She hesitated. A deep, calming voice echoed in her mind, her father's. Always fly higher, Evelyn. She pressed the button. A soft hum filled the hangar. Lights flickered. Jets shifted slightly as systems synced. The pilots watched in awe. The same energy her father had commanded now responded to her touch. Evelyn felt a surge. Not fear, but purpose. She realized something profound. The girl who had been silent and overlooked on Flight 218 wasn't powerless. She carried the legacy of Ghost One. The honor, the courage, the sacrifice, all inside her. And then came the twist no one expected. The encrypted device activated a holographic message. A countdown. Not a weapon. Not a danger. But a mission briefing. One that required Evelyn herself to finish what her father started. She looked around at the pilots, her hands trembling but steadying. Michael whispered, Evelyn, your journey isn't over. It's just beginning. Emma held her hand. And we'll be with you. Every step. Evelyn nodded, feeling a mix of fear and exhilaration. Her father's legacy wasn't just a story from the past. It was a call to action. And now, it was hers to answer. Evelyn steps into the simulator that replicates her father's final mission. As the countdown reaches its last seconds, she realizes the mission isn't just a test. It's a chance to save lives today. Her hidden identity, the daughter of Ghost One, is no longer secret. It's a responsibility. Evelyn sat in the cockpit simulator, heart hammering. The screens lit up like the horizon at dawn. Jets, mountains, enemy territories, a world she had only glimpsed through stories and imagination, now surrounded her. She gripped the controls. Her father's dog tag pressed against her chest, warm with every beat. Her hands trembled, but she felt a presence beside her, invisible, but undeniable. Dad. I'm ready. Michael's voice came over the comms, calm but firm. Evelyn, remember what your father taught you. Trust your instincts. You are Ghost One now. She swallowed hard. The words sank in. She wasn't just a girl. She carried the legacy of a hero. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The simulator roared to life. Jets took off, synchronized. Evelyn maneuvered through clouds, sharp turns, and simulated enemy fire. Every decision mattered. It wasn't just a game. It was a lesson in courage, precision, and honor. Flashbacks flickered in her mind. Her father, waving from the tarmac, smile hidden behind aviator shades. Her mother telling her, "You have his heart, Evelyn. Always fly higher." The letters, the call sign, the pilots who had saluted her. Every piece of her childhood connected to this moment. And then, the unexpected twist, a sudden alarm. A signal in the simulation indicated a life in danger, civilians trapped in a virtual crisis scenario her father had left unfinished. Evelyn's stomach twisted. Fear threatened to take over. But she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and whispered, "I can do this. I have to." She maneuvered through the scenario, following her father's precise instructions embedded in the simulator. Every step, every move was guided by the invisible hand of his experience. The countdown for the mission's final step approached. Evelyn aligned the jet perfectly. She hesitated for a second, then pressed the final activation. Silence fell. And then, success. Lights on the simulator flashed green. A holographic display confirmed every life saved. Every mission objective complete. Evelyn's hands fell from the controls. Tears streamed freely down her face. She realized finally that she wasn't just a passenger in her father's story. She was the hero he had always believed she could become. The hangar erupted in quiet applause. The F-22 pilots saluted her. Michael smiled, voice thick with emotion. "You did it. Ghost One lives on through you." Emma stepped forward, hugging her tightly. "I knew you could, Evelyn. I always knew." Evelyn looked around at the faces, proud, emotional, reverent. She understood now. Legacy wasn't just a name or a call sign. It was courage, honor, and the willingness to rise even when fear tried to hold you down. She pressed the dog tag to her lips. "Thank you, Dad. I promise. I'll always fly higher." The camera would have captured her smile, small but radiant, a mix of relief, pride, and hope. A girl who had boarded Flight 218 alone, unnoticed, now stood at the center of a story that would inspire generations. Every person has a story worth respect. Evelyn's journey reminds us, strength can be hidden in the quietest hearts. What would you have done if you were in her place? Have you ever seen someone underestimated, only to discover their true power? As the sun set over the hangar, the planes glinted gold in the fading light. Evelyn walked toward them, shoulders back, head high. The world knew now, the girl in seat 12F wasn't just a kid. She was Ghost One's daughter. She was courage. She was legacy. And as the wind carried the scent of fuel and sky, she whispered to herself, "I'm ready for the next flight."